morning to everyone and welcome to this webinar presented by Warren Holland. He is a certified financial planner and a member of the Financial Planning Institute of Southern Africa. He also holds membership with the Insurance Sector Strategic Association, the South African Institute of Taxation, and the Institute of Risk Management South Africa. Since he joined Liberty in 1998, he has been driven by a deep passion to help individuals and families secure their financial futures. Over the years, he had the privilege of making a meaningful difference in the lives of many through sound financial planning and dedicated service. His journey into the profession was inspired by his parents, whose disciplined approach to savings, retirement planning, and risk protection installed in him the value of financial security from an early age. In 2016, he founded Lifeguards, a team built on the mission of making a difference in the lives of those they serve. With this, over to Warren, and thank you so much for presenting this webinar for us.
Absolute pleasure, and good afternoon everybody on the 27th of May. It's quite freaky that we're nearly at the halfway stage of the year. And just by a quick show of hands, if you can, because it's always better to know who you're talking to, but it looks like the majority are advisors. If you're not an advisor, please just raise your hand or send a signal. Okay, so that's super cool. That there's some people who are here for information more than sharing. So as I go along, I'm not going to always see hands that are up, but shout out and let's try and be as engaging as possible, because where we're talking about investments and risk, the bottom line is it's all about risk planning, whether your retirement's a risk, your investments, your business, your individual, whatever it is, there's generally a risk to it if we do nothing. So hopefully we can just share some ideas for the advisors in the room, my colleagues in the room. It might be a recap, it might be just something that can assist, and maybe through your questions you can assist me in going forward. So I think let's get going, and just as I said, scream and shout as we go along. If we need to stop me, please do so. And so again, for those people and for all of us, the importance of financial literacy, I think we cannot underestimate the power. You might have a brilliant financial advisor, banker, and wealth planner who's with you. But as business owners, the more you can empower your own self through financial literacy, just means the three important points there: informed decision making, better understanding of the risks that you face and how do you mitigate those risks, and without a doubt, financial literacy lays the foundation for sustainable business growth and personal wealth accumulation. So I think when we go into literacy, and everybody has their own opinions, whether it's to link into MoneyWeb, to link into various other platforms where you've got your investment platforms. But again, your first point of call to help you and to provide you with financial literacy is your CFP professional. So for those business owners out there, ensure you're partnering with somebody, because that person, a CFP professional, is going to give you more financial literacy that's applicable to you and your business than anybody else will, and they will guide you and partner along with you. So we're looking at business assurance and structures for entrepreneurs, and sometimes what I've found over the few years is that what we do can often be a hell of a confusing to clients and sometimes to ourselves when you look at tax structuring of all these things. And so how do we simplify things? How do we get the crux of the matter across to business owners? And what are the unique risks that an entrepreneur, a young person starting out a business, or somebody who's been in it for 4 or 5 years, income stability, business income's fluctuating all the time, making consistent financial planning decisions. It's a massive challenge, and often we're doing it alone. As entrepreneurs, our business can be lonely. No different to our financial advisor colleagues sometimes out there can be lonely. So business liabilities. Not everybody understands that as a business owner, you can be liable personally for business debts. Many business owners go into a business not really understanding that risk. And I think partnering with an advisor will help you as a business owner understand those risks that you face. And entrepreneurs often don't have that safety net. They often don't have that retirement planning because they might have come from out of a business, taken all their Provident Pension Fund benefits and plowed it into a new business. So now they're the trapeze artist in the circus. They're flying up high, but if their grip slips, there's no safety net anymore. So how do we best create that safety net to be able to make better decisions? Because without that safety net, we often find entrepreneurs are either far too cautious in their business planning or the total opposite, and neither are going to get them to their goals. So we look at that. We look at the importance of disability insurance for entrepreneurs. Probably one of the least thought about risks when somebody starts a business. If you as an entrepreneur suddenly incur any sort of disability or any illness that creates a loss of income, not just the loss of income, but your clients, your customers, your partners in them, your strategic partners, suppliers, and so on, lose faith in the business because they worry if they're going to put business or put money into the business, put product into the business, will the business be able to pay them? So it lends itself to a lot of issues. Business continuity. What happens if somebody is temporarily incapacitated in a car accident, have an illness, and can't work for 5 months? Not permanently, just for 5 months. Who takes over that business? Who worries about that business? So, and then how do we get the business owner, the entrepreneur, to get peace of mind? And once through a collaborative partnership with an advisor and understanding the risks, having the cover just allows people to make the correct decisions, and also when disability or illness does happen, we want the entrepreneur to focus on their recovery, because a stressful environment definitely doesn't help any medical recovery. And then we look at from the business continuity side. Simply, we've heard about the term a buy and sell agreement. And a buy and sell agreement, in simplistic terms, is to ensure that there's an agreement in place to ensure what happens to the shareholding should anything happen to one of the shareholders. Whether there's 1 or 10, the agreement is still needed. And in a nutshell, it provides liquidity for surviving owners. It ensures the deceased estate receives fair value and prevents unwanted co-owners entering the business. Now, many of us in this session, we've seen this. And as much as we, in our ideal world, we think family will never do it, friends won't do it. Unwanted co-owners entering the business. More often than not, that is the demise of the business, and it will fall quickly because other partners don't want to deal with those people. They have no knowledge of the business, and they end up being more a liability than an asset. And it protects continuity and long-term viability. And when we look at the human side of it, are we protecting the employees of the company? Because it might be a small entrepreneurial business with 5, 6 employees. What happens to those when something goes wrong? We put 5 people, 5 families on the street. And that's where the buy and sell and the key man cover. Many entrepreneurs focus on the key man cover and leave the buy and sell agreements because they see it as complex, and yet it's quite simple. But the key man, if you have somebody in your business, including yourself, that is key, and the business just wouldn't survive if anything happened to that person. The life insurance policy helps cover expenses and maintains operations in the event that that key person passes away. It is vitally important. And these all flow into succession planning. And the earlier we look at this as an entrepreneur, the better. Have we identified successes? Because we could be man alone in the business. We're the only shareholder of the business, but we've got 3, 4 people, we've got clients, we've got other responsibilities. We need to carefully select and ensure that somebody else can take over this business. Because I certainly couldn't have something happen to me and my wife jumps into our business. She doesn't understand our business and might do more harm, even though she's trying her best. So we need to ensure that we carefully select those people. We need to ensure that there's an operational manual and it's documented that if anything did happen, that there's a seamless transition. I think that is incredibly important, because from a banking, from a continuation option, whether it's clients, investors, whoever is involved in that business, they need to understand that there's a proper structure in place for it to continue. Create a transition plan. He's going to take over all the responsibilities, because your key person or your other shareholder might not be able to do everything. You might control the banking and the sales, but the person you're looking at might not be very good at the banking. So you might need to identify somebody else. So at this stage, I'm going to just pause there. Is there any questions from anybody at this stage? Cool. Okay, again, stop as we go along, because we are not going to be going now. We're going into maybe a little bit more of the fun side of what we do in the succession planning, because now we're looking more at how do we grow and are there other opportunities for us in the investment side of the business. So now where we okay, so again we look at the risk, and part of that risk is also saving and investing. Should a business owner, and we see this, and my colleagues will attest to it, we see it so often where people plow absolutely everything into their business. So when drama or any issue occurs, who do they turn to? The bank's unlikely to finance further. Family are not willing. And it puts immense pressure on a business, because those of us with our own businesses, we all understand cash flow is king. We've heard it, but we don't often practice it. So sit with your financial advisor and create a budget to track everything. Your income, your expenses, and very importantly, allocating funds towards investments. Because we look at our income and expenses and we forget to put away something. And we've heard the cliche, it's all about that rainy day. But at the end of the day, we all know there is rain. And sometimes, like we've experienced recently in South Africa, we have floods as well. Is our business geared for a flood? And if not, what are we going to do going forward to ensure that when there is a flood, we can get out the other side? So the emergency fund, this is critical. And we often find that business owners go out there and say, well, I've got a credit card, I can put it on there, I've got a revolving credit, and I've got this and I've got that. And we all know debt is expensive. So how do we build something to avoid that going forward? And sitting with your planner, your advisor, makes a world of difference by just having a simple conversation. Is what can I do now? Because we often hear, and I think it's quite a common mistake that many of us entrepreneurs have made, is that we wait too long before we start investing and saving. So when we start our business, we need to create that culture of saving. Whether you're saving 100 Rand a month or 10,000 Rand a month. The key word here is to start. And the long-term planning. So your own retirement planning as an entrepreneur. How many of you in the audience here have got your own business, believe your business is your retirement? Because if so, we haven't learned a hell of a lot from COVID and other things that have happened, tariffs in the world and so on, that our business cannot be our only way to retire. So that safety net, what are we doing for our retirement safety net? What are we doing if there's an investment opportunity for our business? If an opposition company, the owner is retiring or the owner is emigrating, is there an opportunity to buy that business? So sit with your planner and look at different ways of creating those funds. So when opportunity does arise, you can pounce. Because trust me, somebody else will if you don't. So what are they? So investment opportunities for entrepreneurs: stocks, there's shares, real estate, you can invest in property, and you reinvest in your own business. Okay, so these are your investment opportunities, whether they in your stocks are housed in shares, unit trusts, endowments, different structures, and your financial advisor will be able to go through all of those in detail as to which one's more tax efficient, which one is better for your current need, because you might need access to that money. If you need access to it, it doesn't help tying it up for 5 years. So sit with your advisor and go through what are those options. Real estate, many people have said, well, why rent? Why rent if you can buy? And to some people, that's made a difference to them, or it's cost them. Personally, I rent because I don't know how to screw in a light bulb. I don't know how to change a toilet. So I'd much rather have a landlord that can help me with that and not incur those unnecessary expenses when I can least afford it. So I'm not a landlord, I'm an entrepreneur, and so for me that makes sense. But for others, property might be an option, and property is still viewed by many as a good investment. Business ventures, I think one's always got to be looking out, and it could be if one of your suppliers got a special. What happens if you can't afford it and you can't do anything? Your opposition's going to buy it, and maybe you're able to cut prices and hurt you. So always be able to have some sort of slush fund where you can pounce, because opportunities are there. It's no different to any of us who, if we get an email out of the blue and a special holiday, if you can go this weekend at a massively reduced rate to the Kruger Park or whatever, what do we do if we don't have the slush fund? We don't take those opportunities. So just see it as try and simplify it in what opportunities could arise in my business, and what would I need to take that opportunity. And that's where sitting down with that planner makes a massive difference. To say, in my business, I might need a front-end loader, I might need a truck, I might need a whole new computer system in 3 years. I don't want to finance it. How do I get it? And that's where your planner sits with you and goes through all the different tax strategies and which is best for you. So balancing saving and investment. To many people, they see these two as the same, but they are slightly different as to which is which. Okay, so understand your risk tolerance, and your advisor's key to help you on that. What risks are you willing to take in your investments? You might have plowed your whole pension, provident fund money and all your life savings into your business. If that's all your risk, are you prepared to take further risk? And that's entirely up to each individual. Some will take the risk, but understand the consequences, and your partner in your CFP will help you. Your goal prioritization. What is the goal? What do you need to save for? Because if you don't have a goal attached to an investment, we end up spending it far earlier than we need to. So have a goal and allocate resources effectively towards that goal. Your portfolio diversification. It doesn't help to have everything in one pot. If I like Standard Bank shares, I'm not going to only buy Standard Bank shares. I might split it across a couple of other financial services companies and even further into mining stocks and so on. And that's where your collective investments and your fund managers have the skills to do it. And you use them to help you grow, because that's what they spend their day doing. You spend your day growing your business. You don't spend your day analyzing stocks and shares. Have your financial advisor, your partner with you, and they'll guide you through that journey. So don't discount the power of diversification. Regular review. No different to your own business. How often are you looking at the goals of your own business? How often do you take time to sit under the willow tree and analyze your business? We as entrepreneurs are in it all the time. So we very seldom give ourselves time to go sit under the willow tree and plan on our business and not working in it. And I know it's a cliche, work on your business rather than in it, but how many of us actually do it? So look at different ways how you can double your business in 3 to 5 years. Look at ways that you can pull in different resources, collaborate with others to improve your business. And that review, along with your planner, advisor, becomes meaningful, because without the information of what your goals and your plans are, they battle to come up with strategic plans for you. So the more information that you can provide, it would be better. Tax considerations and incentives. Yes, there's different tax incentives for different investment strategies, whether you use collective, whether you use endowments, whether retirement planning, tax-free savings accounts, and all the likes. And that's part of your journey as an entrepreneur, is pull in that advisor and say, you need to help me. Because again, let the advisor look after your financial planning, your financial goals, your savings. You look after your business. And two trusted people can make the dream work. So never think you're alone. Have that advisor, and no matter how small that saving starts at, and no matter where it starts, in whichever product. The big thing again, as I said earlier, is to start. Incentive program, to explore, because in different entrepreneurial spaces there's incentives, whether it's government incentives, private sector, there might be different seaters that are willing to invest. There's a whole lot of different avenues that one can explore. So keep the eyes open for those other opportunities, and understand, get to know other people who might be in similar industries who are using some incentives. Ask them to help. Where we get caught is on regulatory compliance. No matter what business we own. we have to stay legal. We have to honor our SARS obligations. We have to ensure we are POPIA compliant. We have to ensure all of these legislations, are we featured properly at the bank and everything. And yes, we can all moan from time to time and share our frustrations with legislation, but it doesn't help to go against it. So again, have people around you, from your bank, from your financial services company, people that you can trust, and also in your industry, because you might be in the engineering industry and there's safety files you need. Have you got the right partner there? It's not only on the financial side. It could be because your CFP professional is not going to be able to assist you with safety files and HR files necessarily. You need to get that expert. So pull in the experts to assist you in ensuring compliance. Have you all got risk management strategies? And yeah, I can also talk to our colleagues. What is our risk management strategy to navigate volatility and market uncertainties? How many of us in our own life have our own risk plan? Because if we don't know the risks, how can we have a plan for them? So just ensure, and for many financial advisors out there, they can help entrepreneurs understand many of the risks associated to a new business. And we ourselves as financial planners have got to understand our own risks. Diversifying, as I said earlier, diversifying the portfolio. If you're selling nuts and bolts, that's one thing. Then you can invest in property, invest in shares, invest in bonds, have some cash. And diversification, whether you invest in some of those funds locally or offshore. But you need a trusted partner to guide you in that diversification. So I think, I've said it and it sounds like a broken record, but partnering with a financial advisor who has a CFP goes a long way in building that trust element, and they bring a lot of expertise that can assist you with the risks. And don't ever stop learning. I think the day we stop learning is the day we stop breathing. So always empower yourself with knowledge to help make better decisions. If you're in engineering business and you need CNC machines, learn a little bit about CNC machines. What else is out there? What are the new trends? Because that goes a long way. And understand markets. So you can question your financial advisor when they do a review with you. So hang on, I see my investment did really well. Can you tell me why? I want to understand it. And question so your knowledge broadens. Because if your knowledge isn't growing, we have a problem. So building a secure financial future for your business. It's effective saving, and everything has to be encountered for an entrepreneur around your personal and your business life. And if you share your dreams, aspirations, and your goals with somebody, they can help plan for that better. Because unfortunately, as entrepreneurs, and many of us are sole owners, or there might be one other partner, Our personal wealth and our business wealth are intertwined, and it's hard to only look at one without looking at the other. So the more we share about both, the better. And remember, very often behind an entrepreneur is a family, and there could be kids, and one's got to look after them as well. So always seek advice from somebody professional to help implement and maintain the solutions, because implementing is one thing, because the decisions you can make today in your business might be terrible decisions in 3 years' time, but we could have solved it in 8 months' time before they became terrible decisions. So make sure whatever you do is regularly monitored, maintained, and changed if necessary. Okay, I know there's some questions, so I'm just going to go to the chat and then we can open it up. So Emilio said, what would the difference between 100% shareholder having a key person life versus a key person in terms of costs and beneficiaries? Okay, so good question. And if I own 100% of my engineering company, but I've identified somebody who will take over, that person might need to be bought out of a contract somewhere in his previous company. We might have some sort of loss of income because clients, suppliers trust me. So the key person cover will still add value to that business continuing. The costs will be borne by the company, and the beneficiary of the key man policy will be the company, because the company will then pay the new person coming in, whether they need a bit of training, whatever those costs are, and some of the loss of income due to natural, I suppose, human behavior, that one client might leave because I'm no longer there. And the same for the investments, and this is something I think myself and the colleagues in the group, we might get this quite often. Is it the same? Should investments be in your personal name or your business name? And my simple answer there would be, most times a combination would be the right way, but sitting with somebody who understands your world will best be able to answer that, because very often I say to entrepreneurs who might have a successful business, but they can't even get car finance in their personal name. They don't have wealth in their personal name. So one has to get that balance right, Emilio, that we are, as entrepreneurs, we build that business, everything's in the business name, and COVID comes. Everything is gone. So again, sit with somebody, share your dreams and aspirations with them, your goals, and your advisor will be able to point you in the right direction. But a business owner without personal wealth, to me, doesn't make sense. So let's try and all get to a place where we have a successful business, and we as individuals and our families are okay. So financial planning goes across both. I hope that answered your question. And any other questions? Any comments from, because I see a whole lot of names I recognize. Any other just comments or something that one of the CFPs in the audience could add to the entrepreneurs that are on this group. Any experiences that you might have had? Sure, not very brave, Rihanna.
Can I ask a question, Warren? What is the most important financial planning step that an entrepreneur can take today to secure their long-term financial future? If you could single out the most important.
Okay, all right. So you said the key word there was their financial future, not their family. So theirs would be to start saving. If they were worried about their families, then it's to make sure that the necessary risk covers in place. But you mentioned their future, so the best they start saving and small. Start saving small, because no entrepreneur wants to give up 1 cent of their money because they want to plow it all into their business and they forget the saving portion. So if anybody who starts a business, that first income you get, allocate 5% of your turnover to savings. And if you can keep that going, wow, in 20 years' time, you'll have a successful business and you yourself will be wealthy.
Thank you, Warren. Is there any other questions?
Or comments, guys? Any comments? Because I don't want to pick on any people that I know, so.
Let's try another one, Warren. Why is disability cover and life insurance essential for an entrepreneur? And how would you determine the appropriate level of cover?
Cool. Okay. The appropriate level of cover would, on the risk side, again.
Sure, this is now how long is a piece of string, hey?
Yeah, but it's in the beginning. It's, well, is there an investor that needs to be paid if anything happens? So what often happens is there might be a private investor. Very often it's a family member that might have loaned, call it 2 million to somebody to start a business, and the business owner dies. Now that uncle's got to go after his niece and nephew, the 6 and 7-year-old, for the money, which might just be a little bit unfair. So there's a quantum. So an investor's put 2 million into the business, we need to cover that. Again, the investor is putting, the entrepreneur's plowed all his pension, he's put 5 million into the business. Cover that. And as the business evolves, you're going to look at more, I suppose, detailed into the financials to determine values, because then you might be able to get a more concrete valuation method for the business. You might see loan accounts, there might be owners that have signed sureties for the landlord, and various different things. But to start off, you're going to look at what are the shareholders putting into the business, and one's got to cover that. So that would be my point, my start. And then from Kaolan, South Africa's macroeconomic situation seems dire. Are there any green shoots of hope? Sure, we'll ask Donald what those are. But no, seriously, I think if you look at our markets are holding reasonably well in the turmoil. There are definitely green shoots, and we are seeing a little bit of the difference between active managers and passive managers, because your tracker funds are under a little bit of pressure because they battle to get out of any, well, they're not allowed to get out of any position. They have to track the index. But if one looks at the, I suppose, resurgence in the mining industry, and yes, it's driven by gold price and all the price of precious metals, but that has a massive spin-off to our engineering sector and all the people who supply mines. So to me, that's been really positive. Our tourism still is still tops. My son works in Thornybush in one of the lodges where it's 50,000 odd rand a night per person, and they're full. So foreigners are still seeing this as a tourist destination. We're seeing, I think it's any day now, I don't know if it might have opened. Club Med might have opened already, or it's about to open. And so we tend to focus on a lot of the negativity. And I think the way the Reserve Bank and the Minister of Finance have done things, I think we can be reasonably grateful and positive around how they've tried to curb inflation. There's been some funds available to fuel relief, although I think that's going to come to an end soon because that's costing a couple of billion. But when you look around, there's still development happening. So Golan, when I drive around, I see cranes. I still see construction happening. Maybe not to the degree we all want, but there's definitely some positivity happening. And the South African stock market last year did phenomenally well.